And US President Donald Trump's plan to drive out 2 million Palestinians and take over Gaza has triggered global condemnation. The UN has warned the US leader against committing ethnic cleansing. Arab states have rejected the proposal, with some America's closest allies calling the idea impossible. This has forced the White House to dial back on the president's statements, saying the resettlement would only be temporary until Gaza can be rebuilt. Washington has also clarified that there are no plans to put boots on the ground. And for more, we are joined by Amin Saikal, the Emeritus Professor of Middle Eastern and Central Asian Studies at Australia National University. He's also the Adjunct Senior Fellow at S. Rajaratnam School of International Studies. Professor, how do you interpret the Trump administration's apparent reversal on its Gaza plan?
Well, obviously, they've had second thought, and they've noticed the international condemnation of President Trump's proposal. But at the same time, it is a reflection of the president's mindset. His proposal about Gaza really comes after his suggestion that Canada should become the 51st state of the United States, and the Panama Canal should be repossessed by the United States. And of course, he also wants to take over Greenland. So it is really basically a reflection of the mindset of a businessman. And in that, he's almost expressing a form of what I would call mercantilist imperialism, that he would like to really use trade and tariffs and these sort of approaches in order to accumulate wealth, and of course, from his point of view, for the benefit of the United States.
Now, from your point of view, was this shift expected, and does it signal internal division within the US government, do you think?
No, it came as a total shock, because I don't think anybody really expected that he will go as far as that. He had floated the idea beforehand, and he had said things about the Gaza, that it's got a very good location, and of course it could be turned into something very beautiful, and all these sort of things. But nobody really expected him to say that the United States will take over Gaza and will rebuild Gaza and relocate the 2 million population or 2.3 million population of the Strip to either one place, which is one of the neighboring states like Egypt or Jordan, or both of them, or later on he said that possibly quite a number of places, something like 12 places. But of course he didn't elaborate on that.
Now, what does this backtracking suggest about Washington's broader Middle East strategy?
Well, it means that, the strategy is not really firmed up. And of course, President Trump remains absolutely committed to the state of Israel and to the security of the state of Israel. As his predecessor had done. It's not really something totally new, except that President Trump has gathered a Middle East team around him that is very incredibly Israel inclined, and therefore strong supporters of Israel, as well as Prime Minister Netanyahu. And I think that is not signaling any willingness on the part of the Trump administration to engage in more constructive activities in order to ensure that the second stage of the ceasefire passes smoothly. All the hostages are released and returned for many Palestinian prisoners from Israeli jails, and also all the Israeli forces are withdrawn from Gaza. But because as far as Prime Minister Netanyahu is concerned, the job is unfinished, because his main objective was to go and wipe out Hamas, and of course, along with that, also make use of force in order to secure the release of the hostages. In fact, on both fronts, Prime Minister Netanyahu has has failed, or at least fallen really short. And therefore, he's already said that the ceasefire is temporary, and therefore leaving the way open for going back to war in order to finish off the job and possibly annex Gaza. But what President Trump has signaled that he may possibly support Israel's annexation of all of Gaza, or possibly north of Gaza, and even possibly the West Bank. And that's not really something that the two-state solution is called for. This will be the final nail in the death or in the coffin of the two-state solution, which is backed up by the international community.
So how do you think the U.S. relations is going to, how's relations going to be like with key regional players like Israel, Egypt, and Saudi Arabia going forward?
Well, Egypt and Jordan have already rejected President Trump's proposal, and so has the Arab League. And also the Saudi leadership has come out very strongly against the proposal and said that they are not going to normalize relations with Israel unless there is an independent Palestinian state. And I think that really sends a very strong signals to the Trump administration that Saudi Arabia and other members of the Arab League will stand very strongly against any possibility of Israel taking over Gaza, or for that matter, the West Bank. In fact, the chief of the former chief of Saudi intelligence, as well as ambassador to Britain and the United States, that is Prince Turki Al Faisal, penned an opinion page, an opinion piece in the national newspaper very recently, in which he appealed to President Trump to recognize the state of Palestine. Now is the right time. But of course, President Trump's comments have really gone contrary to that.
Many thanks for that, Professor. We've been speaking with Amin Saikal from the Australian National University of Singapore, and also the Adjunct Senior Fellow at S. Rajaratnam School of International Studies. Thank you.